the criminalization of the entire Venezuelan people. Through this disinformation campaign, the United States government is attacking Venezuelans within and outside U.S. territory. It considers them a threat, foreign enemies, and just a few days ago it declared that it was in the midst of an alleged non-international armed conflict with the sole aim of having carte blanche to wage war against Venezuela. All of this has been reaffirmed with impunity by the U.S. government without a shred of evidence. Peace in the region is in grave danger on the basis of a fiction promoted by a warmongering government eager to attack an entire nation and its people. Mr. President, today we are all seeing the first tragic consequences of this reality that our region is facing. The United States government has recognized that thousands of kilometers from its own coasts, it has bombed 4 small vessels in the Caribbean, killing 21 unarmed civilians, which never posed any threat to national security. The United States government conceals its crimes under the guise of self-defense. In so doing, it murders civilians without providing information as to their identity, without proving the nature of the cargo aboard the vessels, and without providing any evidence on the imminent nature of an armed attack against U.S. forces. This is not self-defense. These are extrajudicial killings. There is a killer roaming in the Caribbean, one that is seeking excuses to manufacture a conflict, to attack, to manipulate the principle of self-defense, and he wants to kill more. There are procedures established around the world to combat drugs without killing the suspects. The United States is the only government that proclaims the principle shoot first and check later. Who could believe that this large-scale military escalation in the Caribbean is truly aimed at combating drugs trafficking? The truth is that the United States government, as has been confirmed by international media, has already issued a secret order to authorize the use of military force in foreign territory with the pretext of a false war against drugs trafficking. At the same time, the CIA has also been authorized to conduct clandestine operations across Latin America and the Caribbean. All points to a new hour of aggression in our region. President, the conflict doesn't exist. It is being manufactured by the United States, and the reason is as follows. While it is true that this country is facing a tragedy created by drug addiction, which is very regrettable, and one on which we stand ready to cooperate to address this grave public health situation, there is another dangerous addiction that remains unspoken here. This is the addiction to oil. The United States is desperate to control all of the sources of oil around the world, and it believes that Venezuelan oil belongs to it. Its desperate addiction, therefore, leads it to violate all norms of international law. We've seen this in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and in Afghanistan. But now is the time to prevent a new war, a war on Venezuela. If Venezuela did not have oil, the imminent military threat would not exist. The plan is clear. It's an attempt once again to undertake an operation that's already failed, which is to overthrow the legitimate and constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro Moros, in order to install a puppet regime and turn our country into a colony. Without presenting any evidence, the government of the United States is appointing itself both judge and executioner against an entire people. International law, however, also applies to the United States. It isn't an exceptional country. It is sitting around this table because it committed to upholding the United Nations Charter. Venezuela comes here today to demand that the government of the United States uphold its international obligations. The necessary means to resolve this situation do exist. Our country has always been and will always stand ready to engage in dialogue to overcome politically and diplomatically any difficulty to protect our region as a zone of peace. Something that we do need to discuss bilaterally and urgently relates to the repatriation of 78 Venezuelans abducted in the United States who have been separated from their families by a cruel and racist policy. Children cannot be used as hostages to extort Venezuela. President, what right does the United States have to militarize the Caribbean region? None. What right does the United States have to execute civilians that are entitled to the presumption of innocence and to due process? None. What right does the United States have to terrorize and deprive humble fishers from their livelihoods around the Caribbean region? None. The United States believes that the Caribbean belongs to it because for more than 100 years, it has been applying the voracious Monroe Doctrine, which is no more than a relic of colonialism. Our region has had first-hand experience of U.S. invasions. Throughout its 250-year history, the United States has only had 4 years of peace. And today it stands ready to set the Caribbean ablaze to uphold its ideology of endless war that its own people is rejecting. The United States promotes endless war with a machine of propaganda and a true industry of death and lies. Many people have been the victims of this at some time or other, of its greed at some time or other. How many deaths will have to happen? How many years will have to pass before the entire world understands, as it has done historically, that today the United States is lying once again? Venezuela, for its part, has a profound tradition of peace. Since its independence more than 2 centuries ago, it has never been involved in an international conflict, and it is proud of this history. We do not need, nor do we seek, war against anyone. President, in light of all of this, we believe that the time has come for this Security Council to fulfill the mandate entrusted to it by the United Nations Charter and to avert a catastrophe that could destabilize the region for generations. Therefore, we propose the following 3 specific measures to this Council. Firstly, that the Council determine the existence of a threat to international peace and security due to the current military escalation by the United States in the Caribbean. Second, that the Council adopt the necessary measures to avoid the situation on the ground worsening further. And third, that the Council adopt a resolution in which all of its members, including the United States, commit to respecting the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. We are just asking for compliance with the Charter of the United Nations that we all committed to in this Security Council. Taking these measures would be a guarantee to immediately diffuse the threat in our region. We all need peace, including the United States. President, before concluding, allow me to address a few words to our people who at this time are living in perfect peace, united and mobilized in the face of the dangers confronting our homeland. At this critical juncture for our history, all Venezuelans remember our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and all of those who fought to maintain a country in peace with prosperity and, above all, with dignity. Venezuelans are proud of being Venezuelans. We don't seek tutelage from any empire. With great sacrifice, we have forged a country which is not subordinated to anyone. We aspire to have friendly, cooperative relations with the entire world based on mutual respect. But we will not accept insults or threats from anyone. Venezuelans do not yield to blackmail. Those who confuse our readiness for dialogue with weakness are mistaken. In our more than 200 years of history, if anyone believes that they can crush us because we are a small country, they should look back to the past and see that Venezuela was the grave of an empire. The Charter of the United Nations and the doctrine of universal peace protects Venezuela and all countries around the world. As guaranteed by Article 51 of the Charter, if Venezuela is attacked, it will then exercise its legitimate right to self-defense. We respect the United States. We respect its people who desire peace. But we warn the world that if the United States were to attack Venezuela and its people, if the United States were to profane our territory, we have the sacred duty to defend what is ours, what we have inherited from our ancestors, and that we safeguard for our children and our grandchildren. Venezuela is ours. It is not the United States. We are sure that the world will understand that in the face of an attack, we will exercise with all of the strength and the love of our homeland our right to self-defense, and even if this struggle takes generations, we will prevail. Venezuela will continue to win peace, exercising its full sovereignty and guaranteeing the right to life. Thank you very much, President.
I thank the representative of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for his statement. I now give the floor to the United States, who has requested the floor to make an additional statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I also want to be clear that the U.S. is in no way against the people of Venezuela, who we believe have the right to be represented by a legitimate government.